Okay, so we're joined with JC Griot, who's the creative director for Prince of Persia, which is coming out on the Xbox 360, PS3, PC, and DS later on this year, hopefully. JC, thanks for joining us.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so first off, just maybe tell us some of the what's some of the influences and ideas you got from Assassin's Creed going into Prince of Persia. Obviously, the game engine, but besides that, what's some of the things you
Yeah,
borrowed?
we use the same game engine, but actually, rather than taking influences, I mean, of course, there's always a shared expertise, but we try to differentiate ourselves from it quite a lot, actually. So they have a big open structure. We wanted to keep the flow of the previous pop games, it's not a linear game, but some parts of the levels are a little bit more linear so that the players can experience a fluid sequence, not looking around and finding their environment. Also, Assassin's Creed is pretty realistic and historical, whereas we are really set into fantasy, and our character, we've expanded his acrobatic range because we wanted it to be a little bit more acrobatic and more extraordinary. So, I mean, it's really two separate franchises in the end. There are a set of acrobatic moves. I mean, they are both acrobatic characters, so they share a little bit on this ground. But really, we try to use the legacy of Prince of Persia in order to go beyond that.
So tell us a bit about the illustrative art style in Prince of Persia. It's a bit of a departure from previous Prince of Persia's and uses a technique similar to cel shading, but it's not entirely the same.
It's not entirely cel shading. Well, for years now, we've had amazing illustrators on the team. I mean, every time they produce a piece of art, we're like very excited. And for this, when we started this game, we said, why not use this rather than use it as a reference and then do something else? So we decided to try to work our way on having this illustration playable. This goes into, and the illustrations are not cartoonish, they're, I mean, very detailed illustrations. So basically, some of our illustrators are now drawing the textures of the character, and the general art style is a detailed drawn art style with simplified shaders that make it look more drawing. And there's also a lot of paths on the screen filter that give like sharpness and details like black lines, things like this to the screen in general.
Cool. How's the art style kind of changed as the game developments progressed? I think you were saying originally you had some highly detailed cities that you found a little bit too confusing.
The art style evolved a lot. Like we've started from a video, like a concept video, where the characters were a little bit more cartoony than now. Their proportions were exaggerated. We moved that slider back a little bit, then we were waiting for some tools in our first gameplay iteration, so the art style wasn't quite there. And while working on it, especially in terms of level design, we were changing a lot of things, and one of our art style was a city, like it was looking like a city, more like Assassin's Creed. So that was the first thing that we didn't really want to have, because it was important for us to not convey the idea that it's complete freedom. And also there was tons of details in this city, and sometimes it was very confusing to identify and read the gameplay elements. So we made sure that we simplified this art direction to be more majestuous buildings, like a ruined temple. And so the general shapes are much more readable for the player, and the general roots of gameplay are also much more readable.
How's the transition from the dark places in the game to some of the brighter areas important? You were saying that was something you guys considered.
As you start the game, like we wanted to have something that was beautiful, full of colors, etc. But we also wanted some drama in there. So when you start the game, it will be colorful and all, and something will happen in the game. No. So as this thing happens, the colors will bleed out basically, and the world will become what we call corrupted, and you, as the player, will have to travel this world and heal it place by place. So when it's corrupted, it's not only gray, it's also covered by corruption, so dark matter that sucks the life out of it, that brings also creatures and traps into the world. So as you heal it, you will bring back the colors, bring back the life into it, and then you will open a new path by removing all the corruption from it.
you've gone for an emphasis on one-on-one duels with individual enemies this time around rather than fighting multiple on-screen enemies. Why is that?
Wow, that's a very that's a long way back. Basically, we decided a few fundamental pillars. Like we knew we would have acrobatics, fighting, puzzle, and magic. Like that, these are the pillars of Prince of Persia. But overall, we decided that we wanted a more personal experience and a more human drama oriented experience. Using the example of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon again, it's an action movie that you can watch without wondering too much, and we have action elements, but we wanted it to have like some depth connected to it. So we decided, okay, we're gonna go to focus on the human aspect of the game. And so this was going closer to the characters, not going further away and showing them sinking in a mass of other enemies. And we didn't want the fight to feel confusing. Also, our character is being human. Like, he's not going to kill 10,000 million monsters on the screen. He's going to fight every one of them, and it's going to be hard. And also, we wanted every fight to make sense and be significant. In a way, it's also, I mean, it's going back to the first Prince of Persia, where you would travel the levels and you would have one enemy and it was life or death against these enemies. So we wanted to recapture a little bit of this drama and of the drama of the Cloak and Dagger movies, these kind of things.
Cool. So we saw a few enemies in the game so far, including that there was like a skeletal kind of warrior, and there was the hunter. What's some of the kind of big enemies you think we're gonna see in the final game? Is it still in the works?
It's still in the works, and I can't disclose too much of this right now. But there will be several different bosses that you will encounter and learn to know more about. We try to develop them as characters, so they're not just things you bash onto. Like some of them, it all comes down to their reasons of being there and having been corrupted by Ahriman. So, I mean, we really want to, again, even for the bosses, we really want to bring back the human element out of them. Some of them are pretty basic, but some of them can be much more evolved. And also then you'll have more foot soldier type of enemies that will more teach you the simple mechanics of fight that will then be a stepping stone for the boss fights.